The recent DC film Black Adam was a somewhat unexpected smash hit for DC Films. After several lackluster releases, the Dwayne Johnson-led action film grossed $350 million, making it a certified success. Black Adam is notable for its over-the-top violence, which is very different from DC's other films. Talking about some of these scenes in today's video is the action designer for the film, Chris Brewster. Find out what he had to say about the film, as well as an overview of all the special effects that went into making the film pop. To learn all about what it took to make Black Adam, stick around to the end of the video. First up, what else is Chris Brewster known for? Black Adam is far from the first film Chris Brewster has worked on. The man has an impressive resume that extends far beyond just coordinating action sequences. Brewster has experience doing almost every job involved in capturing the most exciting parts of superhero films. Aside from being an action coordinator, Brewster has also worked as a stunt performer and stunt double, as well as a choreographer for both fight scenes and stunts. While Brewster's work on Black Adam may be his finest work to date, it is far from his first rodeo. Brewster has worked on many other superhero projects, many of which were for DC's biggest rival, Marvel. Brewster has credits on the Daredevil series, as well as Ant-Man, the Wasp, and Loki, just to name a few. While we'll get into what Brewster had to say about Black Adam's characters shortly, his work at capturing a character through their movements may be best exemplified by his work on Daredevil. This character was especially challenging because he is a uniquely blind superhero. He explains that creating the action sequences for Daredevil was a unique challenge because of this fact, and he made sure that the character of Matt Murdock was shown fighting in a style that better suited his character. He describes his fighting style as animalistic, with his head down like that of a boxer, and he said he made sure that Murdock always faced his assailants to make sure they didn't know he was blind. It's little details like this that demonstrate Brewster's ability to build characters and tell stories through his choreography. We'll explore this further related to Black Adam later in the video, but first, we'll find out what Brewster's experience was working on the film. Next up, what was it like working on Black Adam? Brewster explains that Black Adam was an interesting challenge because of the film's extensive use of CGI, which we will also get into later in this video. He says that much of the action was already animated before he even got the chance to choreograph it, which he says helped him to know exactly what the director was looking for in the final product. His job then became less about creating scenes from scratch and instead translating the director's vision into real-life choreography. He explained that much of the work came from understanding the characters and how they would authentically react to different circumstances based on their unique abilities and attributes. He described designing much of the action on the ground and then working with the rigging team to figure out how to bring it all into the air for the final product. He explained his job was essentially finding the coolest looking way to film every bit of action planned for the film. He explains that the director had a strong vision, which is helpful for someone with Brewster's job. He ultimately stated that the strong directing got everybody on the same page, which made for a smooth experience filming all the action. It's interesting to hear Brewster talk about the different characters' styles in the film. So what were the approaches to the different characters, Black Adam and Hawkman? Continuing on, what did Brewster have to say about the different characters' unique fighting styles? Brewster explains that every movement in the film is designed to tell a story, and that each character's movements tells the audience a little bit more about them. This means it's critical for action designers to deeply understand the characters they're working with. He describes Black Adam as being nearly invincible, which makes his fighting style incredibly powerful and almost cocky because of how fast, strong, and smart he is. Black Adam was designed to be almost styleless in how powerful he was, because he would never have had to learn any technique to enhance his nearly godlike natural ability. They took the polar opposite approach to the style of Hawkman, who instead had to have countless skills to match the power of Black Adam. Because the character had been reincarnated so many times, the action designers wanted him to appear as if he'd been training constantly for several lifetimes. They incorporated many of the coolest looking martial arts into the style of Hawkman, including wushu, karate, and capoeira. This is all not to mention the weapons the character uses, which were also researched tirelessly. All these elements were then combined into a seamless style that suited the character. Speaking of all the training that went into the character of Hawkman, what did Brewster have to say about the character's actor, Aldis Hodge? Also, hear what Brewster had to say about Aldis Hodge as Hawkman in the film. Brewster would describe Hodge as one of the hardest workers he'd ever had the privilege of working with within the film industry. He claims that Hodge was in the gym 8 hours a day for 3 months. Aside from weight training to get in tip-top shape for the role, Hodge was also actually learning all the martial arts he would use in the film, which, as we've stated, is a lot of training. He said that the actor was driven to learn every single martial art possible before beginning to make the character as believable as possible. As he continued to gain experience in different martial arts, he was able to adapt his style on the fly to make his movements appear more specific to whatever style he wanted. Brewster praised him for both his work ethic as well as his ability to make rapid adjustments based on what was needed for the scene. From the sounds of it, it appears that Aldis Hodge became a sort of human Swiss Army knife with all the martial arts skills he picked up while working on the film. This made the character of Hawkman that much more believable and made the film better as a result. As with any project of this scale, there are going to be some hiccups. So what was the most difficult action sequence to capture? In the film to capture? Brewster explains that every action sequence has things about it that are easy and things about it that are challenging. He does go on to explain that the first fight scene with the JSA was especially challenging because the director had a very specific vision for how the sequence would go. He claims it was difficult to translate the rapid pace of the animation into real life, especially with all the crazy action taking place. He described the challenge as finding the perfect balance of stunt work and safety to make sure they were getting an exciting final product while still keeping everybody safe. He explained there was a certain level of beauty in combining CGI effects with real life to create a final scene that utilizes the best of both worlds. He said that even with some of the world's best stunt performers, scenes like this were still a challenge and that they required near perfection from everybody involved. It's impressive that this was the case because of how amazing the final product turned out. It truly appears that Brewster's hard work paid off, along with all the other cast and crew who put their heart and soul into the film. Moving on, we're going to be exploring some of the special effects in the film and what it was like filming without knowing how they would turn out. Finally, what were some of the special effects used in the film that made it so special? Black Adam had a ton of special effects that went into making it look so amazing, which we'll be exploring now. One prime example of the challenge in filming something like Black Adam was the costume worn by Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate. There was no actual cape or suit he wore on set that resembled the film's final product. This was all CGI, and it made for an interesting filming experience. Apparently, it was so difficult to blend his body in with the suit that animators had to edit his Adam's apple in post-production to make everything look as smooth as possible. Another example is the scenes that take place in the Rock of Eternity. Although there were some live-action props, the vast majority of the 150 shots in this setting were all computer-generated. These are just a few of the meticulous pieces of work that went into the film, and it goes to show how challenging creating a movie on the scale of Black Adam truly is. Have you seen Black Adam? Are you familiar with any of Chris Brewster's other work? What was your favorite action sequence in the film? Did any special effects stand out to you while watching the film? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well. Thanks for watching, and as always, we'll see you next time.